This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Bwaaa!
Bwaaa tries fight all through the night, deep in the heart of Texas. The trailer park is nice and dark, deep in the heart of Texas. That drinks his brew and he spits his chew, deep in the heart of Texas. The TV blares, but no one cares, deep in the heart of Texas. Here we go!
Hey, everybody, welcome to
Bwaaa.
I am Mike.
And I'm
that is
Rusty.
Welcome to That Ain't Right Friday. A little shorter version, a little different than what we normally do.
Yep.
So a couple things here. Actually, three things.
Three things.
We
Three couples
have-
of things.
Three couples of things. We have an email that came through just yesterday. And then I have
Is it all right if I read it?
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And then we have a phone message that came through the other day, and so I want to play it. So let's start with the email. Who's
Okay.
it from? Number one.
So we've got, I thought I said 420. Okay, so it's Trey 402. I'll leave everything.
Thanks for the email, Trey.
But Trey is the username here. Okay, so Trey says, barely anyone wants to talk about the potential negative quality when it comes to recent projects in Western media,
Yeah.
despite modern Hollywood proving frequently how incompetent they are. Modern Hollywood is incompetent. I agree with that
Yeah, I do
because
too.
of and doing all these podcasts, it's given me an intimate view into all of this. Like as a child, I had this sensationalized view of what it would be to be a voice actor, or what it would be to be an animation director, or what it would be to be an artist in one of these shows. And it's not as glamorous as you think it is. Once you talk to these people who have worked in these industries, it's not. It's really not that glamorous. You got people that are struggling who have put out some of your favorite shows. So if you ever see one of your favorite creators or anything like that, somebody that you've enjoyed, and they're asking for a little support, or hey, buy an autograph, or hey, do it. Help them out. If you
Yeah,
enjoy
no
their
kidding.
art that much, help them out.
No
if you
kidding.
can. If not, then whatever. All right, King of the Hill already got infuriatingly lazy and flanderized in the new seasons. So what positives are there to come out of an obvious cash grab desperation to jump back into a well that's spent?
I guess he's talking about the ones that came after the actual end of the series.
Yeah. He's talking about the later seasons. Especially one that takes place in a red state. That's why I want to throw out the worst case scenario assumptions for the King of the Hill revival if it goes through.
That's what we're here for, is worst
He's
case
given
scenarios.
us 6 of his worst case scenarios.
Okay. This is
and
good.
his 6. And before I even read them, Mike Judge is attached to these shows. If you've not seen the new Beavis and Butthead, you should go watch it, and that should give you an idea of what this continuation.
Yeah,
'cause
sure.
It's not a reboot, as everybody says.
No.
Reboot. It's not a reboot. They have already expressed explicitly that this is a continuation of the series. So, in that same vein, Beavis and Butthead always been problematic. Still problematic. If you go watch
Sure.
it, you can find a problem with anything that's going on the show if you want to.
Yeah.
So I don't think.
But that again is one of those things where you can find a problem with anything.
So I think in the essence, and you have to think this is a guy who doesn't bend or break or fold.
It's true.
This is a guy who has been consistent in the industry with his product, and that is what has made him where he's at, is his consistency with his product. And now he's putting out tons of other products, and if you look at any of those, you could also find problematic issues. So this is not an issue, I think, any of these issues that I've read anything on the internet of people, I just don't feel like they're going to be problems. But
No,
let's go ahead
I
and run
agree.
through our buddies here. So he says Luann, Lucky, and Dale are going to be replaced by AI voice machines.
I think if they do that,
God, I
it's
don't
not
know.
that big a deal. honestly.
That I don't know.
I've heard a lot of
be,
it, and some of it's pretty
That
damn
could be
good.
a worst case scenario. I don't think that's necessary.
I'm going to say that Fox Studios or whoever is making this Bandera, they can probably afford better AI models than we can.
Their AI models they can afford are probably better AI models than we can afford because
Yeah.
they've done voice stuff before in movies.
and
They've done that. This isn't the first time that somebody's
Yeah.
passed away in Toy Story for the
Yes,
Slinky
Don
Dog.
Rickles.
For the Slinky Dog.
Don Rickles also.
And Don Rickles
Yeah.
was the potato, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they've done it for the Slinky Dog, which was Jim Varney.
Yeah.
Ernest goes to
Yep,
wherever
yep.
the hell he goes to next. That guy, and Don Rickles for the
Hey, Vern.
for most generations.
Insult comic.
Well, he was an insult comic for your generation. For my generation, he was the next door neighbor to Dennis the Menace.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, the second one.
The second one.
Yeah.
The one that I
Walter
remember.
Matthau was the
well,
first
Walter
one.
Matthau was the first
Yeah,
one, but the second
sure.
one was Don Rickles, or the one that I remember was
Both
Don
movies
Rickles.
suck,
Yeah,
but
both
yeah,
movies
sure.
suck. But yeah, so here we go. Number 2, Khan becomes politically correct, and it becomes a tokenized wet wipe with no bite.
Woof. Yeah, we need to move on to the next one. That could be an issue, though. I don't think it will be with Mike Judge, but it could
I think
be.
if they get somebody in that does Khan's voice similar to how Toby Huss did it, I don't think. I think the political correctness, I don't think is going to be an issue.
No.
I think the whole point of these types of shows is to poke fun at whatever's politically correct
Sure.
at that time, because they do it in this era. They poke fun at the remember they're driving up to somewhere, and it was like some environmental campaign or something on a board. And even in the first episode, Hank says, "If you talk about the climate one more time, I'm going to kick you. Or if it gets 1 degree hotter, I'm going to kick your ass." So they've always
boy.
talked about whatever the hot button topic was.
Yeah, sure.
Because the King of the Hill episode where he's talking about the climate going up, around that time you've got Al Gore and the whole climate machine
Yeah.
and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, him going on about all that stuff at that time. So I don't think political correctness, I think that's the whole point of these shows, is the era that they're in, they're going to poke fun at whatever's like you might see a MAGA rally, but I don't think it's going to be called a MAGA rally.
No.
And I think it'll be some
called
other kind
something
of
else, yeah.
something
Well,
or another,
and the other issue is, like, if you want a recent example or a semi-recent example of being either politically correct or not politically correct,
Yeah.
I just finished rewatching Silicon Valley. There is nothing politically correct about that show.
No, there's not
It's
not
just
really
funny.
Yeah, and again, that's what humor is. Humor pokes fun, and
Mike Judge is really good at that too.
at everyday things.
Yeah.
So number 3, Hank and Peggy get divorced.
You're also dealing with Greg Daniels, not just Mike Judge.
No, you're dealing with Greg Daniels too. I
Yeah.
don't want to leave him out.
I mean, that's a huge deal. Think about this guy and all the jokes he wrote for The Office.
think about all the jokes he wrote for Parks and Recreation too.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hank and Peggy get divorced.
They're not
is
getting
number
divorced.
3.
That's not going to happen.
I don't think that happens. They're too repressed
Trey,
to
I
love
understand.
anybody else.
Yeah, I understand your argument, but I don't think that's going to happen.
He thinks that the ratings will be low, and in a desperate attempt. I mean, this isn't his verbatim. His verbatim is Dale finds out Nancy's affair as a desperate ratings gimmick. I don't think they'll need to do anything desperate for ratings.
No.
I think when the show first comes out, the ratings are going to be
Yeah.
probably higher than the first episode released when it first came out.
I would imagine.
Because the fan base, from what I've seen over the years of using Reddit and social media, it's only grown. There's kids that didn't even grow up watching it. There's people that are growing up now that they weren't even alive when the last season show aired, and they're picking this show up now at 10, 11, 12 years old.
Ratings to me are not a thing anymore. And the reason
my kids started watching it,
Well,
and
I'm
he
saying
thinks
the-
it's hilarious.
the
and
reason
he's 13, so it's like
the reason I say that is because originally when this thing came out, King of the Hill, you get to watch it once. If you miss it, guess what? You got to wait almost a year for a rerun.
yeah,
Right. And so, but now I think they have learned a few lessons as far as streaming content goes. And so they make it and then they wait to see how it proliferates across the internet,
Yeah.
and it's there forever.
Yeah, well, I just don't think they'll have to do anything desperately
No,
for
I
ratings
agree.
gimmicks. And Dale
agree.
finding out about Nancy's affair, I really don't see that as an all that bad of a thing to go on about. Really,
I don't think it is either.
I don't think they will do it, but I don't think that it would be.
I just think
bad.
it's too big of a joke for them to just cash in on it.
This next one's pretty rough. I'm not gonna lie. Number 5, he reignites Nancy and John Redcorn's relationships because of the excuses of reparations and empowerment.
Oh my God!
Wow. I don't think that John
Trey
Redcorn
taking some big swings.
I think that could have been inferred a long time ago. I don't think that I think Native Americans have been owed reparations for a long time, and I think they've been asking for a very long time too. So I don't think that's a newfound 2024 hot topic that a Native American man's taking something from a white man is that of a tongue-in-cheek thing anymore. I think it's still funny. I think if John Redcorn was banging Nancy and they did try to make a deal out of it, and I don't think they would, because if they would have, they already would have. There's no inference ever that John Redcorn stole the white man's wife.
No.
There is no ever inference.
No.
And if there is, correct me, please, somebody that's watched the show in an in-depth way, but I don't think there is anything.
The other thing to think about, and the reason this comes up, I'm sure, has a lot to do with what's happened between the end of the series and present day. So like the Redskins are no more and things like that. And so the Cleveland Indians are now the Guardians, which I guess is a spider. So a lot of that stuff has happened. And so I can understand why he would say that, but I just don't think that that this show leans that way.
Yeah, I don't think it goes that far. I just don't. It's just too lowbrow and low hanging. I don't think that the writers are too intelligent for that. I feel like the people that write on this show are way smarter than that. There is no joke there, really. I don't think. And number 6 is just a profound blasphemy. Boomhauer is booted off the show because he's problematic. I don't think Boomhauer gets booted off the show for being problematic at all. But I think a funny episode would be an episode where maybe he gets pressed by a lady, like in a cancel way, like they do in culture these days, and it ends up him being this innocent, really wholesome character, and not this deep womanizer that people think he is.
I would like to see Boomhauer in kind of a.
I was trying to say that in a really
what I was going to say
is not a really nice way to say that.
Is more in like a The Graduate type situation, where he's this young innocent guy that gets taken over by this older woman and all that stuff. And I know that's kind of already happened to him a little bit, but
yeah, for sure.
But Boomhauer is too much of comic relief, and small doses to say he's going to get booted off. I mean, I don't think
he's a pivotal character, and again. Bill's not really in this scope of things. Bill, I can't really say this about, but when you talk about people that know about the show and people that only know about it anecdotally and have only caught an episode or two here, one of the things that sticks out with people about this show the most is I'm talking about his rabble. The Boomhauer rabble is known by people who might not even know the show that well. They're like, oh yeah, the show with the guy that talks fast. They're talking about dang old, so.
Yeah, I again, thank you, Trey, for sending that email.
No, we appreciate the email.
Feel free to send as many as you want. You guys
I will dissect it though.
Oh yeah. Well, I think that's what he intended. Okay, so in that same vein, we have a voicemail here where somebody called in to our number, which is what the hell's our number? 254-271-4007. So they called into the line, again, 254-271-4007. Call in. Leave us a message. We love it. All right, here we go.
You don't know who I am, but I know where you live, and if you teach that sex ed class, so help me. Oh, Rusty, Mike, keep up the great work, and if you ever need a guest, I'd love to chat all things King of the Hill and King of the Hill accessories. This is Adam S.
All right. Adam S. That's the first time we've heard from this guy.
Adam S?
Adam S.
Okay.
You know who that is?
No, if you said Adam P, I would know who it is. But no, I don't know an Adam S.
Thank you, Adam. We appreciate it. I felt a little threatened there at the beginning, but then it got a lot better towards the end.
Yeah, that was kind of.
Please call and leave us messages, man. Anybody that wants to, please call in. We will play them on the show.
That was it? There wasn't another one?
No, that was it. That was it. The other one was from Artie, and I believe we've already played it.
Oh, okay.
And by the way, hey, Artie. All right, last thing we got here is a Dallas Morning News Arts and Entertainment TV article. This is super recent. The Emmy-winning animated show inspired by life in North Texas could air as soon as 2025, according to reports. So the title of this article is called King of the Hill Reboot Could See Some Voice Changes.
Yeah, voicing changes.
Greg Daniels and the crew of writers stoked fans' interest in King of the Hill when a reboot was announced earlier this year and again in February when they stopped by Dallas to collect ideas. I didn't realize that had happened, but that's great. Daniels, the Emmy Award-winning show's creator, and about a dozen writers absorbed thoughts from a room full of Dallas Morning News journalists and filled their textbooks with ideas in a fact-finding meeting. That's the first time I've heard of that.
Yeah, that's the first time I've heard
Right?
it too.
Yeah, that's great. It's no secret the show closely reflects North Texas suburban life. Co-creator Mike Judge, a former Richardson resident, has said elements of the show, including the fictional town of Arlen, are derived from North Texas, his former home. A reboot reportedly won't air on Hulu until about 2025, and stakeholders have been mum about details. A spokeswoman for Disney Television Studios, which lists King of the Hill as one of its properties, said Monday that no updates are available yet. Of course, they probably are, but they're just not telling. But TV Line, which has been around forever, reported some updates last week, including whether Con Sousa News and Phone, Hank Hill's Laotian next-door neighbor, would return. Toby Huss, the voice actor for Con, has yet to be confirmed for returning, and I think we've heard that that's going to change.
Yeah.
Daniels told TV Line that he's not sure whether Con's coming back, but I think we would most likely replace Toby's voice for Con. And that's something they should do. He says, like if we were casting today, we wouldn't have cast him, but we cast it in 1997. Daniels said animated shows, including The Simpsons, have faced increased scrutiny for white actors voicing characters of color. Hank Azaria's Apu from The Simpsons is a high-profile case, and that is definitely one that they've changed. Most animation...
Does he not even exist anymore, Apu?
I don't think so. I hadn't watched The Simpsons in forever, though.
Yeah, I haven't either.
It all kind of started being the same thing. Daniel said that work was already underway on the reboot before... I'm sorry, I missed one. It says most animation casts play multiple roles, and Toby Huss initially played Hank's father, Cotton Hill, and was cast for that, and then Con came up later. Daniels told TV Line, and most productions, especially back then, didn't have the budget to hire a special performer for each voice, but it's different now. That makes sense.
Makes sense, yeah.
Daniel said that work was already underway on the reboot before the duel's writer and actors strikes halted Hollywood earlier this year. The writers returned to work after the Writers Guild of America strike was resolved. Judge and Daniels will produce the new series under their recently founded animation group Bandera Entertainment. I don't think it's recent. Original voice actors Kathy Najimy, Stephen Root, Pamela Adlon, and Lauren Tom are on board, according to the Hollywood Reporter, so that's great. Starting in 97, King of the Hill ran for 13 seasons, blah, 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 blah. Johnny Hardwick passed away a couple episodes before his death, and then they bring up Brittany Murphy and Tom Petty dying. So, a great little article. It did tell me something that I've not heard. I didn't realize that they had stopped in and talked to a bunch of reporters and stuff about what's going on in Texas. So that's a really good sign as far as I'm concerned for the writing. But that is it. We covered a Dallas Morning News article. We listened to a voice message, which anybody can call in and do that. And then we read an email that I'm assuming the email, let's see, where did it go to? It was sent in to info at Rogue Media Network, but we do have a King of the Hill email, right?
Yeah.
What is that one?
BWAAAKOTH@gmail.com.
And you can send it to that, or you can send it to info at roguemedianetwork.com. You can send it to Mike at roguemedianetwork.com. However you want to send it in, just send it in. Also, the phone number, if you want to call and leave a message like these other folks have done, it is 254-271-4007. For those of you outside of this country, it's a +1 in front of that. 254-471-2007. Is that what I said? No, sorry, 271-4007. Yeah. Call us and leave a message. And that's all I got this week. That is a That Ain't Right Friday. Tell them one more time where they can find us.
You can find us at BWAAAKOTH@gmail.com.
That was a long
or
pause.
BWAAAKOTH on all social media.
There you go.
You
Also, check out all the different shows at roguemedianetwork.com. And we'll see you again on Monday.
Yep. And also, so if you are a fan of Mike Judge,
yeah,
he has a show out right now.
Oh, this is the NPR one, right?
In the Know.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. It's on Peacock. It's
I
kind of
haven't
like an
watched it
NPR
yet,
spoof.
but you said
And they
it was
actually
very good.
interviewed
Yeah.
because they actually of course everybody knows it's a joke kind of thing. It's
Sure.
almost in the same vein as Space Ghost Coast to Coast, where they actually have actual celebrities or actual B-list or whatever you want to call it.
Cuck on
They have
Earth or
Mike's.
that kind
They
of
have
stuff?
Mike Tyson. Yeah, Cuck on Earth. They have
Yeah.
Mike Tyson on an episode of In the Know.
Oh, wow.
And that's what I liked about it is they got all these these high profile people on there, and it's a spoof. It's an NPR spoof.
Did you ever watch the Mike Tyson cartoon that came on
Yeah, it was
Cartoon
absolutely-
Network?
Yeah, on Adult Swim.
Where they were
Mike Tyson Mysteries.
they were solving mysteries
Yeah,
like
that's what it's called.
Scooby-Doo.
Mike Tyson Mysteries.
Oh,
It was awesome.
so
Yeah, it was
good.
great. Yeah. It was his voice too. His
A
voice was
British
great about it.
ghost that followed him around for
Yeah,
some
it was
reason.
awesome.
And he had all his pigeons and stuff. That
Yeah.
was fantastic.
And there's also one called Praise Petey.
yeah.
It only lasted one season.
That's the
but
one where
it was
she's the
pretty
daughter
funny.
of Satan or something,
Yeah,
right?
something like that. Yeah. It was pretty funny though. She was a
These
New
are-
York socialite. Yeah, is what it was.
These are mostly
She inherits like this town from her dad called Newtopia when he passes away.
these are mostly Mike Judge produced stuff. He's not necessarily directly involved.
No, it's Bandera Entertainment
It's Bandera,
stuff. Yeah, that's
yeah.
what I was talking about specifically. This is all Bandera Entertainment
and there's
stuff.
a lot of stuff you're going to see come out of Bandera in the next couple of years.
That's Praise Petey is one of them,
Yeah.
and like I said, it only lasted. But they have Exploding Kittens, which is coming this year.
Oh, they're
on
doing that?
Netflix. Yeah, it's coming up on
Oh, that's
Netflix.
cool.
And they have some undated ones. They have one with Sacha Baron Cohen called Chelm, the smartest place on earth.
Chelm.
They have one called Best Buds, Common Side Effects,
Wow.
Bad Crimes, and Dykes to Watch Out For. Which
Okay. I'm not going to say.
that's an
Yeah.
actual comic strip. It's
Yeah.
Representations of lesbians in popular culture
Okay.
type. It's actually the earliest representation of lesbians in popular culture. It started in the 80s. It ran
Wow.
from like 83 to 2008. So it's the creators of that, and he's going to produce the show
that's
for
cool.
them. So.
Yeah. All right, guys, that's it for us. We will see you again next time.
Women Tanya.
Women Tanya indeed.
They gave it 1 star. So.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.